Hello, my name is Dan Taylor, and this is my presentation for EDL 854, Educational Finance Module 1. Just a bit about me. I was originally born in South Korea, and specifically Busan, South Korea. It's kind of a southeastern port city there. I moved here at a very, very young age and was raised in Illinois, about an hour west of Chicago. And just a few years ago, about three and a half or so, I moved to Colorado. I live out here in Denver. It's been a great move. Love it out here. Access to the mountains and all that comes with it. Really fun. And also, too, just a little about me, too, is that I'm currently in my ninth year as an educator. Some interests, and some of those you can kind of see on the screen there, is that I love the outdoors. I love exploring, love getting outside, camping, hiking. You can see in the picture there, that's actually me from Moab, Utah, from this past summer. I do love photography and dabbling in that, reading when I get the chance, petting dogs, cooking, playing sports, all that. So that's just a little bit about me and my life. But about my school environment and just where I work at. I work at a school in Aurora, Colorado called Grandview High School. And this school year, 2021-22, marks my second year at this school. So I started at the depth of COVID at the start of that lockdown time. But this year is going to be my ninth year in the classroom. This year, I am a social studies teacher, and I'm currently teaching 10th grade world history and ninth grade geography. And the school itself is the largest school I've been a part of. It has close to 3,000 students in the student body, a lot bigger than what I've grown up being a part of and even teaching at before this school. But with that does come positives of that there's a very large department, and I get to learn from a wide array of people of different experience types, different mindsets, different teaching styles. So that's been a really big boon for me of being able to learn and experience other people in their teaching styles themselves. Now, to start off, 10 things that I learned while reading the module resources, information, and significance. So one of the first things here is that it really focuses on the school leaders themselves. And many school leaders, they struggle with grasping the scope of their responsibilities and liabilities. And a study has shown that a worrying majority of principals lacked financial literacy and a basic knowledge of bookkeeping. And this is something, too, I'll highlight later on with concerns. But I feel like, too, it's very easy to overlook this information. And I'm glad that we have a whole course directed towards this information, just because I feel like a lack of knowledge could really hinder, obviously, a principal's leadership style, but also to the effectiveness of the school and district overall. In addition, it is the principal's responsibility to prepare the school budget, a record of projected revenue and expenditure, and this will help achieve school goals, control systems, and also motivate employees, especially when professional development is budgeted for that. So really, too, the reason why I chose this one is that the breadth and depth of tasks that go in with school finance is a lot bigger than what I initially thought. This is really the first time I'm getting exposed to what the principal's role is with this information. So being able to have that budget, revenue, and expenditures all in one, that's a lot to juggle. Really good to know moving forward. This slide really talking about the idea of the percentage breakdown of funding and understanding too, as a future building principal or a school leader, understanding where the money is coming from is really important. So it comes from a variety of sources. 48% comes from state resources. 44% is from local jurisdictions through property taxes and basically business taxes around. And the last 8% of the public education budget comes from federal sources. So really understanding just the levels and amounts of where schools will get that money is really important to provide needed and necessary services. Now, this is also too, this slide here is talking about the limitations that principals do have. And it says the principals are treated like middle managers with very little control over the wide array and amount of money that is given towards schools. So decisions are often made by state legislators. The states have a lot of power in this regard, and district level bureaucrats. So a lot of the decisions too, and this is something that I viewed going into this, is that a lot of the decisions are made at the district level, especially when considering a school district like mine with 8 different very large high schools. A lot of the decisions come from the district. It is also a principal's responsibility to account for the school's revenue and how it is spent. So that is especially the second part there of how things are spent is really important. Understanding too cash flow statements, where things are going, how to allocate those funds. It seems like a juggling act. So really understanding the various responsibilities within this information is very important for future leaders. A principal should also ensure that teachers' salaries are in line with levels set by the Department of Education and that staff comply with the employment terms of that department. The second part of that bolded statement I definitely understand, but something that surprised me in reading that was that a principal really ensures that the teacher salaries are in line. I felt that this was something negotiated between district leadership and a teacher union representation. So the fact that principals do have a role in this is something that I found out new when reading these resources. Now, this is one I chose, especially because I do live in Denver and deal with Colorado. This one really hits home. So, due to following property tax revenues in Colorado, Colorado's had to make up some of the difference through additional state funding. And the recession that has hit a lot of local businesses and individual families has led to smaller state budgets. So, Colorado, especially, is trying to figure out different ways to really infuse schools with additional funding. And a lot of that does come from state legislation. So, definitely interested to read this, especially in regards to schools such as mine in Colorado. Now, also too, with these cuts and budgetary constraints, schools, they have to provide the basics, heat, electricity, and transportation, but the cuts that come from budget constraints directly affect teachers, and this is something that I've felt. So this means fewer programs for students and larger class sizes, and I feel that we all know the larger the class size, the harder it is to really make impactful instruction. So this is something too that for me really makes me take a step back and makes me think of, man, that budgetary constraints really does really directly trickle down to individual students in classroom interactions. States also have the responsibility to make sure that schools have sufficient funding to operate. And this is also talking about the equity of providing this funding towards students. And this is broken down on a student basis of funding. And this really shows the disparate funding and really the inequities of funding throughout our country. Whereas every student should be getting the same amount or same type of education, in fact, it's not the case. With examples of $3,000 per student in Utah, $11,000 per student in New York, and wide variations even in between, this really shows that funding isn't necessarily equal throughout our country. Now, also, too, talking about the limitations of principals is having autonomy within school districts. And most districts allocate staffing positions and other resources based on a one-size-fits-all model. And this is something that I've seen, where districts are making decisions for the entire district, seemingly equitable, but the impacts of that allocation is felt differently, where based on a school's socioeconomic status in the surrounding community, that can absolutely affect how funding gets utilized and how much funding those schools get. Now, my own personal connection, identifying actions of my principal and concerns of my own. It's things that I've seen that my principal do and not do. My principal's very great at communicating a lot of different things. And this year, especially, they communicated overall budget items at the beginning of the year meeting that talks about the district and building focus. For some people, that's hearing or like watching paint dry, but very important to communicate kind of what that forward next step is. My principal also communicated plans for professional development. I think it's really great to know just what is to come for me as a teacher, but also too, this shows that they're planning those budgeting items way in advance. Now, also too, something especially with budget constraints is that they conveyed the need for possible fundraising if bond measures don't pass, and this is something that we're going to be dealing with in the very short term. Things I have not seen is that there's been no communication on teacher salaries beyond at the point of hiring. And this is something that in my district, salaries are negotiated at the district level. Additionally, I have not heard or seen a breakdown for school and the district on the amount of local, state, and federal funding we receive. So just something I haven't heard. Now, my own personal concerns. I have a very limited amount of information in building finance in regards to finances outside of just my own and my own personal planning. So, thinking on a large organizational level is something that I just haven't dealt with. I also have anxiousness in dealing with numbers that affect a multitude of people. And I would say just numbers in general. I am a social studies teacher for a reason. I'm not a math teacher. So that is something, too, that I'm definitely a little nervous about. And with that nervousness, I have fears in overlooking key budgetary items and following legal guidelines and procedures. So that is definitely something I'm going to really try to shore up as I progress through my career. Here are my references, and thank you so much for listening to my presentation today.